When a couple more people come in, I'm going to talk a little bit about what I'm thinking of doing today. It's a little bit different. As always, when you guys do this with me, it's a little bit different, but that is okay. And if you want to think about this position while we're letting people come in, this is black to move and draw. This is definitely a position I want you guys to know stone cold. Stone cold. So let me tell you guys a little story to start off. As with every time I do I don't want to call it a lesson, a session with you guys, I try to do something that I didn't have as a kid. I got to do the US Chess School a couple times. It was back in the day, of course, it was not online. We came physically to New York City. It was a really cool event for me. I came from a small town. And one of the things that we got to do at the camp that I have a feeling you guys have been able to do less of, but will happen again once US Chess School starts meeting in real life, is to start doing more sparring. So you take a position and maybe you think about it a little bit. You could use this one as an example. This one, in a lot of ways, is a technical position that you should know stone cold, but it's a great position if you don't know it stone cold to play it against somebody. And so something I very much encourage that really you can get a lot out of when you do something like the US Chess School is you can get practice positions. These positions can be in the endgame, like here. They can be middle game sparring positions, maybe something to do with calculation. They can be obviously also opening positions. I definitely think the best way to learn openings is just to play an opening a bunch and then to look at your games. You can do chessable memorization stuff. That's nice too. But really, once you get an intuitive sense of your opening, that is a beautiful thing. Greg Shahada says, it was also not the U.S. Chess School. Well, no, it was called the U.S. Chess School back then. It was run by different people. It was not run by Greg Shahada. Greg Shahada gets so precious about these things. But in my mind, it was the U.S. Chess School, by all means. Anyways, what am I saying? So, over at the ChessDojo, we've come up with this interesting thing, which is to create a system of study based on really mostly looking at your own games, but a big part of it is going to be the idea of sparring. And so what I want to do today is to use what I'm going to call the fundamental rock endgames. Somebody called it rock endgames earlier. I like it. The fundamental rock endgames we're going to look at today. And a lot of these positions, I would say you should know absolutely stone cold. However, if it happens today that you fail in these rook endgames, I want you to know that almost everybody I've known, I'm sure there's exceptions, but everyone I've known has struggled at first with these positions. And I've taught a lot of students. I have my own personal memories. Even though they might seem basic, or other people consider them as basic, like this is definitely a basic position, we will see that people will make mistakes. And especially, this is the kind of position where once it gets late in the game and people are tired, mistakes will be made. And a lot of the examples I'm going to show you today are taken from real games where, in fact, somebody kind of famous even blew it. So what we're going to do is we are going to try to spar today. It's a little bit unusual because sometimes people are shy here at the US Chess School. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to bring people on and we are going to spar these positions. Some of them will be easy, or you might think they're easy. Some of them are going to be hard. So there's two things that I'm going to try to sell you on today. One is that the progression of rook endgame positions that we're going to do today are fundamental. Like these are some of the most fundamental rook endgame positions that we're going to do today. I don't know how far it will get. We might do a second show later. But the second thing has nothing to do with rook endgames, and that is to learn how to play chess well, and I think endgames are just one example of it, it's very helpful to approach it as a sparring situation, right? So you have a friend, somebody around your level, somebody, you both sides can make inaccuracies in these kinds of positions, and you want to have the ability to competitively play it out again and again, and from both sides. Okay, we got a question. What is sparring exactly? I think sparring is a word stolen from boxing. And in boxing, you can't have a full-fledged fight every time, or else people just, they just go home with black eyes every single time instead of just at the main event. So sparring is a situation where there's just a limited amount of, let's say, contact. And for example, opening sparring would be a situation where you start from an opening position and you go not until the end of the game, but until some point where it's obvious that the opening is no longer part of the game. Maybe one side is clearly better or one side is equalized, and then you say, okay, let's stop it, right? And we'll start over, maybe flip colors. So that's what sparring means. So yes, this is black to move and draw. And so what I'd like to do, in an ideal world, by the way, what I would do is I would just simply call on people. I would just call on people. I'd be like, if you're in this class, you should be ready to be called on. However, Greg doesn't like that kind of thing. So what I'd like to do is, if you're ready, even if you're not sure about whether or not you can play this position correctly, it's fine to fail. Again, these rook endgame positions, it's better you find out now that you don't know rook endgames than later. That's fine if you make a mistake. And this is truly the way to learn. So here we go. Who would like to, I'm going to call, Zephyr seems to have exclams next to his chat, and Zephyr's usually good game for this kind of stuff. So what we're going to do is Zephyr's going to play the move. And by the way, what I'd like to do in this is, if when you come on, you have a conceptual way of playing the position, please tell it to us. Tell it to us in words, and a lot of times that's just a very helpful way to do it. Not all positions avail themselves of that kind of approach, but many do, and that's just really helpful. I think this one as well, but if we want to just do moves, that's fine. Okay, Zephyr, let's go. It'll be you versus me. Let's see if you can hold this position, black to move. Zephyr's kidding. Come on, you can do it. No, Zephyr, come on. Come on to the chat.
Should I speak? Or?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I'll go rook b4.
Okay. Let's say I go king c5.
I'll go rook back to e4.
Okay. I'll go king d6.
Mm-hmm. Just a second. What's the think? Rook d4 check. King f8.
I'm going to make this one for you. King g7, king e7.
Rook e4. King g6. Rook d4 check. King f6. King. Uh-oh. Okay, king g7. Yeah, okay. Resign.
Resign. Okay. Zephyr, let me just stress something. what I want you to see is maybe you'll be mad at yourself, and that's fine. But I want you to see that this was a fundamental position you got wrong, and you will have white in this position someday. Okay? So let's do it. Let's do somebody else, and we'll start from the very top. And who would like to come next? Joshua, you ready? Somebody else.
No.
Okay. You're not ready, Joshua? Come on, you can do it. Let's go.
Okay, Rook B4,
Okay.
Rook B1,
Okay.
King D8, Rook B6, check, King E8, Rook H6, and then just Rook H1, right? Then where's the D1?
Very good. Very good. You did great. Now, let me ask you something, since you did it so well. Let's go back to the starting position. Can you put it into words what you did? Because it's absolutely correct.
Okay, so pretty much, well, you kind of want to like check the king, but like you can't, you want the king, well, pretty much you want the pawn to go to d6 so you can get your rook to the first rank, so you can just keep on checking the king. And like, it's just, yeah. So, yeah, it's pretty much what I tried to do, I guess.
Okay, fair enough. So let me put into my own words, and then, but you did it correctly. So I would say correct, absolutely the right move. And this move, King C5, I'm just trying to trick you. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. And Rook E4 is technically still a draw, but it's much easier the way I think it's Joshua did it, right? And let me put into words is we are simply waiting for the king to come to the 6th rank, and we are going to make sure that the king cannot be on the 6th rank. And then, as Joshua said, the second this pawn is pushed, let's say we go like this, we can hang out. And if he massages, we sit. If he massages, we sit. I want to stress, this thing massages might sound like a joke. When you are in the 4th hour of play and you are trying to win, definitely give him the massage. Go back, go forth. He might not be sure that you're just messing around, and sometimes you're not just messing around. Sometimes you have some dirty idea that he is not aware of, and then a trick can happen. So anyways, black is waiting, and then pop, and then pop. Very good. Now, the endgame that me and Zephyr got involved in, interesting. So now all of a sudden, it is not easy to draw this thing anymore. It is, however, possible. And either Rook E1 or King F8 would draw. But now it's no longer Philidor. Okay, this is a fancy position. I think some people call this the Lasker position. And the idea is if E6, then we have checks. If King E6, very important, we run to the short side. We're going to talk about that. If you don't understand that concept, we're going to get into it in a second. And if he checks, the key point is that we are holding this square down. Okay, let's move on to the next one. We are going to, and by the way, I think when I call on people, again, don't worry about getting it wrong. It's fine. I'd like to do it, though, you can think about it at the beginning, but then let's try to move quickly, like under 30 seconds. And the reason for that is nowadays, we really want to train ourselves both for these technical positions and just endgames in general with a 30-second increment. We want to be fast about it. Okay, so here we go. This is black to move. I'm actually going to flip the board. So here we go. This is black to move. Who is ready? Basically, let's say the obvious. It is a choice between king takes and pawn takes. All right, Brian, what do you got?
King takes G2.
Okay, tell us why you like that move.
Because if it's a G pawn, then it's just a draw after King G1.
Very good. Very good. Let's show that to people. Pawn takes, king G1. Very important to see that now white can just sit. And even if, let's say white allows me to go to H3. I just want to point this out. It just sits. Lets me go to H3. Lets me go to A2. Very important to see that this is totally done. I just can't do anything. Whereas after Brian's move, absolutely correct. King G3. The issue, let me just show this. Check the miserable king. F2, winning. Now it's important, so just very simple difference between the G pawn and the F pawn. Okay, very good. Let's do another one. The next couple ones, well, maybe kind of hard. Okay, this one, I'll tell you what, I'll give about a minute. This is white to move and win. I'm gonna give a minute and then we're gonna call on who's ever ready. Or rather, when you're ready, let me know. It's white to move and win. Okay, Adi, what do you got?
I think we can just go king c7. I mean king c5.
Uh-huh.
Because like if you go like rook h5 or something, black has just rook d7 stalemating.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Simple trick. And you'll get this someday, by the way, as black. It's and you know, when you know that there's a problem, it's easier to find, but it will happen in real game. And let's just point out, what do we got? It's essentially, not essentially, it is a Philidor position, right? The pawn is advanced, and now the rook is ready to check from behind. Very good. All right, let's do another one. This is black to move and draw. Where should he go? Anybody? Angela, what do you got?
Honestly, I'm not sure because I don't really know endgames.
Okay.
But I guess I'll choose a random one. I guess King G8.
Okay, why do you like King G8?
It just holds the G pawn from advancing.
Okay, and after King G6?
Then Rook F8.
Good, and you're absolutely right. Can you put into words why this is drawing?
Like in the position we saw a few minutes ago, like the G pawn there was a G pawn and they couldn't really do anything with it.
Very good. That's absolutely right. And I'll just refer back to that position. That's this one here. The beginning was this choice. This is Smyslov, the great rook endgame player, had black here and chose king takes G3 and not F takes G3. Very good. All right, let's do another one. All right, black to play. He can go basically to the H file or the F file. This is a good classic. Which one should he go to? Let's not even frame it as 4 choices with, in terms of moves, let's frame in 2 in terms of F or H. All right, Arvind, what do you got?
I think King king h7 because if you go king anywhere else, then the king goes to h6.
Very good. Very good. One of the things that this shows is a couple. First, that it expresses this law that we've already seen about the G pawn and the B pawn not being able to make any progress. But the other one that I want to share with you is just as the defending king would like to go to the short side. In this case, what is the short side? It's still this, even though we're dealing with the G pawn. It's still the H file. It's important to see that not only the defending king wants to go to the short side, the offending king, the king with the pawn, extra pawn, also wants to go to the short side. And we're going to see a couple more examples, but this is a great one because the king now really can't get, let's say, rustled out of that side of the board. And we are going to play rook g7 next. And complete domination. Very good. All right. We're going to do some people might think these are easy, but these are definitely all positions. The next couple ones where a famous player blew it. This is white to move and win. Adi says, short side is the sunny side. I love it. All right, who's got me here? White to move and win. All right, Adi, what do you got?
Okay, so I think we can go f6. Because if you go rook take f6, rook b7 wins. And if you go king f8, king g6 wins.
Okay, good. Absolutely. Well said. So one of the things to see about this is, let's say f7, check. One of the things to see about it is if black had one more move, boom, he would be in time for the Philidor position, right? And as it is, he is not. And just to consolidate some of the things we've learned already, when we go back, this is winning because it's an F pawn and not a G pawn, right? If it were a G pawn, it would still be drawing for black. But because it's an F pawn, we get to do this nasty thing. All right, let's do one more here. Anyone, black to move and win. Okay, good. Everybody's shouting at me in the chat. Fine. E3. And there's a very famous player here as black blew it. All right. So, black to move and win. I should flip the board. Everybody's shouting it. F3. Very good. Famous player. Blew it. All right. All right. Black to move and win. This one, why don't we play out? And I'm going to flip the board. We'll play out and we'll try to get it. So who's ready? Oh my God, it's going so fast. Arvind, oh no, wait, Arvind, let me do somebody else. Guru, let's go.
So black can go king f3. So, and if they go like rook a3, we can block with e3.
Very good. All right, let's try. I'll try to defend white's honor here. Rook down.
Could we go like rook g1 maybe? Then e3. King e2.
Okay, I'm going to say e2 was a much simpler way. But you might still be winning this. Let's see.
Maybe like rook g4, rook g3.
You probably mean b3, right? Or look at that, g3. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, rook g3.
Okay. Now, let's just say some obvious things that are great about your position. I am on the long side and you are on the short side, right? I.e., this is the short side of the pawn, this is the long side of the pawn. And the reason that is great for you is that my rook, if it tries to go checking distance on the side, or rather, if it tries to check from the side, I don't have a significant distance from your king, so you can always approach it. Okay, well done, Guru. Let's do another one. All right, this is a little tricky. Take a moment. This is black to move and win. And we're going to, we'll play it out. Tori says E2 is better, but I think this still works. Absolutely. And somebody says flip the board. I will flip it. All right, who is ready to do this? This is black to move. All right, Austin, what do you got?
I was gonna play King G3.
Let's try it out.
Then we play Rook A2. King F3. Wait, did I screw this one up? No, I didn't. I'm good. Wait, okay, so Rook A1, King H2, then King F2. This wins, right? Check, and then... Wait, hold on. King F1, but then there's Rook B4. Rook B4, F3. No, never mind. Black wins. I'm hallucinating.
Black wins this one? Okay, let's see.
F3. And then Rook A2.
Rook A2?
Alright, no, A3. Oops. I messed this one up.
Okay, let's go again. We'll talk about the ins and outs of it in a second. This is black to move. Kyle, let's go.
E2.
What? Say it again.
Rook E2.
Okay, good. Can you put in words why you like this move?
I like this move because it limits like the rook's mobility on like the E file, so I can go King G3 and then F3, so he cannot directly go Rook E8.
Very good. Very good. It's as simple as that. Let's show a couple more moves.
King G3.
And honestly, I don't know what to do here. I cannot leave. And if I check, we have the position that we just talked about, right?
Yeah.
So let me see if I can trick you a little bit because I'm such a nice guy.
Rook H2. No, wait. Yeah, Rook H2.
All right, you got me, Kyle. Well done. Yeah, well done. Now, I want to address the first example, very critical. There's a lot of things, even though Black got it wrong with King G3, there's several things I want you to see about this position. So, King G3, Rook E8, and now White is holding this. Rook A2, check, King F3, and Rook B8. So this is what I want you to see, is that in this position, White has checking distance, big checking distance, and the king is on the short side, right? And so let's just look at it for a second. What I want you to see, okay, and I think we're going to have a further example in a little bit, we'll get to, is that Black will not be able to approach the rook. Now, if you just imagine for a second, I promise we'll get this example in a second as well. If you just imagine the king being here and the pawn being here and the king here, i.e. White's rook has less distance to check the black king laterally from, we're going to see that that position would be winning for Black, right? But it's simply too big of a bridge that Black has, there's no way Black's king can get to the white rook when I'm over here. Okay, so here we go. This is black to move and draw. And I'm going to give a second here. This one is not easy. Let's just say the obvious things while you're thinking about it. Yeah, while you're thinking about it, let me just say a couple things about Rook Endgames, even though we're talking a lot about sparring today. So I think it's useful to orient yourself in Rook Endgames on two pillars, the Philidor and the Lucena. Right? Like a lot of complicated things will happen in Rook Endgames, and you want to anchor your mind, your soul, onto those two positions. Now, things can often go crazy, like this one, and we can just say it does not look good for black. The king is on the wrong side, the black king. He's on the long side, right? And the rook is in a pretty funky position. It looks like white's winning. However, there are sometimes miracle defenses, and this is one of them. All right, Guru's ready. What do you got?
My move is Rook H1.
Let's try it out. Check.
King F7. Oh, I think this one loses. Maybe Rook B1. King F6. King E6. King F7. Oh, yeah, this is a lot.
Okay, good. So let's take a look. And I think one of the things to see, okay, is one of the reasons you should say to yourself, oh, I need to do something fantastic here, is because Rook H1 shouldn't work based on what we already learned about short side, long side. Namely, my king, the white king, will be able to go to the short side, and your king is not going to be able to scooch on in there, right? So that means, right, it's a good law, is that you're not going to be able to make it in. Okay, good. Kyle, you ready?
Yeah. So Rook D7,
Let's try it out.
King E7,
Very good.
wait. Rook E3, then King D8. Rook. Where? Rook H7. Oh wait.
Well, it looks bad. All right, let's try it. Let's try it. Give somebody else a try. Kyle's a good try. All right, who else want? Addie wants to get on. Let's see it.
Yeah, so I think I would do the same thing as what he did, except I would go Rook A7 instead.
Okay, so King C6, King
Yeah.
E7.
Yeah, Rook E3, King D8.
All right, let me try to massage you.
Rook D6. Can I just go Rook A3? Or Rook A6?
Rook A6. Well, you
I
don't
mean,
want
Rook A6.
Rook H6. Good.
King D7. Doesn't Rook takes A6 just draw?
Good. I was trying to trick you. I was trying to trick you. That's right. Okay, so let's go look at what Adi was saying. And he's absolutely right. And it was very close the first time around. So I did check, d6, and right. Rook a7 is what his intention was. He said it. And so now the problem for me is I really have a hard time avoiding this Philidor. And we'll check and pop. And there we go, Philidor position. All right, well done, Adi. Let's do another one. All right, let me flip the board. This is black to move and win. All right, Pranav, let's hear it.
So our first move will be king b3.
King b3.
Boy. Yeah.
B is in boy, good, yeah.
So now white is going to play rook g8, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, rook g8.
Now we go rook h1 here. And now we go c3.
Very good, very good.
And now we go king d3, rook d1, and c2. And otherwise we just play c2 and we win.
Well done, that's absolutely right.
Lucena, I think.
Yeah, or better than Lucena. You got it all the way in. It's definitely, yeah, you don't even have to do any fancy tricks. Yeah. Now, why are we doing this position? Well, for one, I love this. By the way, I should give a little shout out here. So, I want to give 2 shout outs. So, this book you can no longer get. I have a student, he told me he found it online, $800. But that's where I got these beautiful problems from, Russian book. And the other shout out I wanted to give is you guys have the honor of working with Johan Helston often here. And I've been looking at his book, Mastering Endgame Strategy. I quite like it. It's a pretty good book. I haven't finished it yet, but I'll do a review of that when I'm done, post it somewhere online. So that's also a nice endgame book. And actually, there are several good endgame books where you can take, let's say, strategic positions to spar from. I think these are great as well. I really think there's going to be, we've already seen, it can be mind-bendingly confusing. It's really good to practice these from both sides, but also strategic positions to practice them from both sides. And he has a lot of positions there that are great for practicing against a friend. I really want to stress that when you guys get together physically at some point, I don't know what the schedule is with that, with Greg organizing, like an in real life US chess school. But at some point that'll happen and we'll get some sparring going on. But of course, if you establish friendships here, you can, set up sparring amongst each other. And something we're trying to do at the ChessDojo is like schedule the sparring with our new training program. That way, like it feels, it's kind of socially awkward to do a thing where you, have to ask somebody like, oh, should we do this one or that one? But if you have, a schedule being like, okay, son, you have to do this position now, then it's a little bit socially easier. In any case, I just want to give a shout out to Helston and this book I'm working from. We're on what I consider problem 14 in this progression, and I have about 80 problems here. We're not going to get through the whole thing. That's fine. Let's do another one. This is black to move and win. Let me flip it. What is the name of the $800 book? It's in Russian, and it translates to the Encyclopedia of Chess Endings. You want me to butcher some Russian? I don't know how to say it, dude. I don't know how to say it in Russian. It would be, I'd love to try to say the endgame one. I think it's got okonchanye or something like that. I can't do it, dude. In any case, black to move here. This is an important instructive thing here. All right, let's not call it things. Let's be more articulate, Kraai. What is the correct move here for black? Tell me when you're ready. Naranyan, what do you got?
So I was thinking, let's say rook a2.
Okay, is there any reason you like rook a2?
To get to the king.
Okay, let's try it out.
Yeah.
Say it again.
Rook A1.
Okay.
King D2.
D2.
Uh,
Okay. Check.
King E2. Rook B1.
You don't want to do rook B1, right?
No, Rook D1.
Oh, rook D1. Excuse me. Okay, I'll go here.
E3.
All right.
Rook D2. King to no, what's up? Okay, Rook D1, yeah, Rook D1. King to E1. Wait. Oh. Okay. Wait, I think I made a mistake.
Yeah, made a mistake. Let's let somebody else try. This is a very good one to spar out. So let's give somebody else a try. This one's a very important one, good one. You were close. All right. Brian, let's see it.
Rook A2.
Okay, 2. King F1.
Rook A1. King E2.
Oh, sorry, blunder.
Rook D1. D3. Rook D2. Rook B2. Rook C2. Rook D2. King D3.
Say again.
Wait. Rook B2.
Rook B2.
King D3. Rook F2.
Oh, I blew it, didn't I? Oh. Wait, let me take it back. Sorry. I knew I should have done that one.
King D2. Rook B8. King D3.
I wonder if I've blown it here. I had to draw, my friend, and I think I've blown it. Oh, this is embarrassing for the dojo. This is embarrassing for the dojo. Oh, you massaged me. Did you know that? You massaged me. Oh, good job. You got me. I blew it. Okay, time out. Let me try to do the right way, and then I'm going to try to see. It's interesting. It's interesting. So let me just say that the correct way here is not Rook D1. And we're going to see. It's close. It's close after Rook D1. The correct way, let me just show the correct way first, is E3, check, and I can't stop. I get this problem. Now, you massaged me, which I thought was great. Let me say, it wasn't that pleasurable. But you did massage me. Now, this is very close because, in fact, I'm not entirely sure I'm drawing in this precise position. Actually, I'm pretty sure I am. So, Rook B2. So, what happened? My rook achieved the checking distance on the side of the board. That's why I should be able to hold this. You massaged me beautifully. And then you said, check. Let me think about what I did wrong here for a second. So it's funny, I think King F1, actually, I think I originally had it right, and I was terrified of this. But the problem is, when you do this, I have checking distance, right? I fooled myself. I fooled myself. I had the right move the first time. Yeah. Now, I'm going to give you a chance to defend your honor because you played that so well. So, come back on. If you think you can win this thing, you should come back on. I don't see it. And maybe you want to do something different besides Rook F. Well, yeah, I don't know what else you would do, but yeah, whatever you want to do.
Rook F8.
All right, let's try it. Rook F8. Check.
King D2.
Check.
King C1.
Check.
Is it a draw?
It's a draw, yeah. But let me just say, okay, for the benefit of everybody, you did get me. And the one of the morals of the story, and you see this when you spar with people, is massaging is a beautiful thing. Now, other people call this word massaging different things. Like in the Shereshevsky book, he just calls it taking your time. And what are we talking about? It's like when you did this little thing to me, I was like, oh, this is, I was like, he's already blown it. I know I've got this thing, right? And then I kind of later, I lost the thread because of that. Well, I could blame all kinds of things, but that was part of it. Okay, well done. Let's do another one. This one is white to move and draw. And this one, there's actually two ways to do this. And this is some very famous people. I'm going to guess they got this one right, but I'm going to double check if they got it right. It's always interesting. Yeah, they got it right. This is Dreyev, Belyavsky, two endgame experts. Adi, what do you got?
Okay, so I was thinking Rook G8.
Rook C8?
Rook G8.
Oh, let's try Rook G8. But doesn't that lose immediately to check?
King E2. Oh, shoot. You're right.
All right, let's try again. Anybody else? Zephyr, what do you got? Tariq, what do you got? Tariq's ready. Sorry, buddy. Tariq's really, really ready.
Rook G1.
Rook G1. Wait, that's confusing to me. Do you mean Rook H1?
Wait, no, I was white to move.
Oh, white to move. I'm sorry. Rook G1. Okay, fine, good. Rook here.
Rook F.
Rook F1, okay. Rook over.
No.
Right? Difficult. Now, Tariq, let me just say that if this were a G pawn or a B pawn, this kind of passive defense would work. But whenever it's, let's call it one of these pawns, it's not going to work. Okay? All right, let's do it again. This is white to move and draw. Let me just scroll down here with this epic amount. Zephyr's eating right now, so he can't do it. He's not ready, he's eating. I understand, I'm hungry too, man. I'm really hungry too. Okay. Brian, let's hear it. And then if you don't get it, we got Narayan ready.
Rook D5.
Rook D5, very good. Yeah. So, beautiful. Can you put into words why this works?
Well, King D3, then King C1.
Good.
If Rook H1, then just King E2.
Good.
It's a central pawn, so like King on the long side is still drawn.
Do I agree with that statement? I think it's still drawn because let me just put it this way. The black king is on the short side, but this is like, I would call this the last chance at the OK corral here, because we're able, with this tricky move, to slow down the pawn, and it's vital that on Rook H1, King E2, we are stopping D3. It really is the last chance. And one thing I want to stress is this natural move, I think a lot of players would do this, where white and then scoots to the short side. This is in fact lost, and I want to stress this point because we've seen this in other examples. The reason is because this rook is holding down the A file, which means that this rook, when it comes to start messing with our king, does not have checking distance. Why don't we look at that for a second here? So King C1, check to the miserable king. Check, not a check. Here, let's say D3, check. Excuse me, let's make it a check, Kraai. Check. If king over, we're always going to check. So check. And again, there's no squares for that poor right rook. So when he goes here, we're able to do that. So it's a very tricky position. And right, it's like the last chance to play Rook D5 here.
King on the long side is a draw, though, if it's center pawn.
King on the long side is a draw?
Yeah, if it's a center pawn.
Okay, what position are you thinking about?
No, like, say, like, Rook D5, King D3, like, King E1 is still a draw. Although King C1 is easier. But King E1 is still a draw, though.
King E1 is a draw?
Yeah.
Let's try it out.
King F2. King E2.
Good, but I want you to see the reason it's a draw is not because it's on the long side. It's because you're able to hold down the square. If I have one more tempo, that's it. So this is like a magic trick. Okay? Yeah, this is a magic trick. Sometimes it works. And like, let's just say in this position, this is the last gasp for white to find Rook D5. That's right. And to a certain extent, it wouldn't matter. Let's say we would have put the black king here. Rook D5 will still draw the game for the same reason, for example, even though the white king can go to the short side. Okay, let's try to get in one more. You know, I was doing the Helston, I was behind the scenes. I was like the Wizard of Oz in the Helston show, the last, what was it? I don't even know what it was, Thursday or something. And that guy goes forever, man. He takes the class way over an hour. No, I'm going to stop it at an hour, because Zephyr's hungry. So let's do this. This is black to move and draw. Let me flip the board. Yeah, black to move and draw. What do we got here? Oh, I got all these new messages. Let me scroll it down. Adi says, isn't it the same thing? Good, it is. So let's do another one. I love doing it the same thing because I want it to just reinforcement. All right, this one is very tricky. And this is going to be white to move and draw. Let's use this as our final example. It is both tricky and instructive, and we're going to say the obvious thing. Your mind should now be trained to see that like a little red light needs to go on when it's a G pawn. So certain things need to be said when it's a G pawn. Arvin, what do you got?
So I think you can play Rook B6.
Rook B6, let's give it a shot. All right, so King G3.
Oh, and then Rook B1.
Rook B1, let's give it a try.
And then now yeah, actually Rook B4 because it stops the pawn. Now Rook maybe Rook B5.
Okay, now I have to be a genius. How about Rook to B3? Oh, King E2. Okay, so losing, right? And let me just stress something. This is a Lucena position now, and it's really important to see that now it's like a good example that when the short side becomes shorter, it's even better, right? So my king is really on the short side, and it's a really beautiful thing, whereas that poor king on the long side, the white king, really unhelpful. Okay, this is a great example. I remember I found this one very difficult. One of the things to see here is that you got to see that, yes, the position, if you can achieve king here, rook here, and just sit, then you got it. However, it turns out to be very difficult in this position to achieve it, because if my king gets here, then I'm able to keep your king out of g1. Does anyone have an idea about how to draw this as white? Pranav, what do you got?
I think we have to play Rook A8 and like try to defend along like that, something like that.
All right, what do you do here?
Here we play Rook B8. We go king. Wait, now can we go Rook B2 here? Rook B2, I think there's something like
But this is gone.
Oh yeah, this just doesn't work. I thought that I thought I could try to set up a long defense here.
Right, well that's the thing. Okay, important. There's no yeah, I'm the one on the short side. There's nothing long about my position. Okay, anybody else want to give this a go? All right, Austin, what do you got?
I was going to try rook h1, so he gives you the check, then after king g2, your king gets out, and if king g3, you can just check his king. Whoops. Wait. This is bad.
That's bad. All right, anybody else? We got somebody now. This is a secret person because Kyle, what do you got? There was somebody else. I didn't know if I was supposed to call him. They didn't have the exclam thing. I don't want to bend the rules. But Kyle's what's that?
Rook 6.
Rook g6. Good. And the thing about this is, I think the only way you find this move is if you realize, oh no, this is a really terrible all of a sudden, because this what we just saw. Once the black king gets to a square like h2, it's all over. And so rook g6 is this very last attempt to try to, let's say, put things right. If I go king f3, what are you going to do?
King G1.
And g4?
Rook F6.
King g3?
F1.
Very good. And we've seen this. So we have a nice completion of the session today. It's coming around full circle. Let me stress a couple things to end the session and say two things. These rook endgames, you probably need to, even after you feel like you get them, you should practice them again and again. I might continue at next U.S. Chess School. Who knows if Greg Shahada will even invite me back. At this point, you never know. But I do think you should practice them again and again. And I really encourage you to do sparring. Sparring with friends, maybe even your enemies. You know, setting up positions like this, looking at it from both sides, it really helps drive home the point. And of course, it's not just this kind of position. There's so many different positions to spar in, which is helpful. We are going to be doing at the Chess Dojo, we're setting up this training program. If you're interested, you can do that. So we're just setting up sparring positions in the opening, the middle game, the end game, kind of like this, so that you can play them out. And it doesn't have to feel, you don't have to feel weird about calling your friend and saying, hey, can we meet on Skype? You know, you just get set up and go. All right, you guys, beautiful session. I'll talk to you next time. If you felt that you were lost in this rook endgame thing, fine. Let me just say, you should realize that everybody I've taught has always had trouble at the beginning of their rook endgame journey. And one of the reasons it's important is if you can overcome it, you will see in your own chess that you will win countless games because your opponents don't know it either. Okay, till next time. Bye-bye, guys.